turquoise flow, lights down the lane, and the 2 marks show the lads down the lane. Let's make a stand, the lads down the lane, and Amstel in our hand. Yeah, lads down the lane, lads down the lane. It's lads down the lane. Yeah, lads down the lane.
Yes, one club, decades of drama, and 3 lads still showing up for it. Well, 2 lads showing up for it. This is Lads from the Lane. Subscribe if Spurs have ever ruined your weekend. Big up, Cookie. How you doing, mate?
Hello, Nige, mate. Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Not too bad. Had a quiet weekend, to be honest with you. Had a quiet week on the Spurs front. I haven't really been like keeping up with much because not much has been going on. But you know, watched a few videos, but not too much, mate. But I'm all good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, like you say, not a lot is happening as far as Spurs goes, and yeah, it's been difficult because you're trying to put bits of content out. It is really just scraping the barrel for anything, and yeah, sometimes you think maybe it's not worth it, but yeah, other than that, I'm good, mate. Busy at work, and yeah, it is what it is. But obviously, we are 1 man short tonight. We're not quite sure where the sheriff is. I think he might be. Maybe have had a few too many Stellas, but
Just a few.
We'll see if he turns up in the next 20 minutes. But yeah, big up all in the chat. Get involved during the evening. Ask us any questions. Yeah, and we will get into it. I don't think I shouldn't probably start the show before obviously mentioning the tragedy that happened on Thursday with Diego Jota and his brother. Absolutely shocking, terrible news. Yeah, there's not really much more to say. Obviously, we send our best wishes to his family, his friends, and of course the Liverpool Football Club as well, and the whole footballing world. And this is one time, isn't it, Mark, when the football world unites?
Yeah, it is definitely, Nigel, and it's been really nice to see, actually. You know, watching different channels, putting on, you know, saying a few words about the lads, you know, and my condolences go to all his family and friends and to Liverpool FC, and you know, it's just a tragedy, mate. Just a tragedy.
It is, mate. So, okay, let's talk about Spurs. That's just as bad, isn't it? Let's be honest. Sonny, what are you thinking, mate? What are you thinking about Sonny? Because there was rumours that all week has been rumours that he's going to leave, and then we hear yesterday that he's going to stay. Now there's more rumours out again that we're not sure what he's doing. He still may leave. What are your feelings on Son currently?
Well, like you say, Nigel, there was a rumour about Saudi, wasn't there, a couple of weeks ago? And then is it LAFC in America? Is it LAFC? They've shown an interest. It's difficult, Nigel, because we've had this conversation before. You know, we know Sonny's not been at it for the last 18 months or so. You know, looks like he's lost a bit of pace. That's the general consensus of it. At the same time, I'm like, well, we're going to be playing a different style of football now. So, you know, if we go to playing 2 up front again, I would imagine it would be Solanke and Son if he stayed. That was how he used to play off of Kane, wasn't it? Yeah. In that sort of, you know. So, you know, if I'm going on what I've seen over the last 2 years, I think it's time for him to go. But, you know, who knows the coaching that's going to be done. And I'm not talking about necessarily the coaching of a player. We know that'll happen because he doesn't really need coaching, but he just needs to be going in a different direction than picking the ball up on the left wing and knocking it backwards, doesn't he, Nige? You know what I mean? Or sideways. So
Yeah.
let's see what happens with him. I mean, yeah, like I say, on last year's form or last 18 months, it would probably be time to go. But we'll have to see, mate. That decision's out of our hands. If he's here, he's here. And I'm sure that if he's not pulling up any trees, he won't be playing. You know, I can't see him. They're just going to keep playing him for the sake of it. So I don't know. What do you think, mate?
I just think for me, it's the perfect time to cut ties.
Mm,
You know, he's been fantastic for 10 years. Let's face it, the last couple of seasons, he's not quite been himself. And yeah, I just think he's won his trophy now. Perfect opportunity. Just for me, I'd like to see the side freshened up. You
yeah,
know, I've,
yeah, yeah.
and this is harsh on Son, but I've had enough of watching Sonny. I've had enough of watching Ben Davis. I've had enough of watching these players that have been here 10 years. I
Mm,
want some new faces. And, you know, I think you're right. I do think you're right, actually. I think Son, we may see a better version of Son next season if he stays, because
mm,
I think he will be played differently. You
yeah.
know, he has lost a yard of pace. There's no doubt about that, and he's not the player he was,
Mm,
but he is still a good finisher.
yeah.
So maybe, but I'm just at that point where I just want to see fresh faces.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I agree with that. But you know what bothers me is about it, Nige, is that
Yeah.
it's early in the window now already. All right, we've
Mm.
been linked to lots of different players, and nothing's coming to fruition. And I just hope again, it's not a case of we like the kudos links, for argument's sake. They've been rumbling on for a couple of weeks, and
Yeah.
we were in pole position, and then all of a sudden, noises are coming out that Chelsea are interested. Now
Mm.
all of a sudden we're 2 weeks later, and it looks like it's more like Chelsea are going to get him. If they really wanted him, surely they could have worked out a deal before Chelsea had their involvement, because if West Ham can get another 5 million out of it or whatever, and Chelsea are willing to pay it, they'll pay it, wouldn't they, Nige? You know that, and I know that.
I think it's a frustrating thing, isn't it? It's to me and you, 5 million is a lot of money. I
Mm,
wouldn't say no to 5 million, but
yeah.
for a football club, for any Premier League side, five
Mm,
million is absolutely nothing. And like you say, if we really wanted him, he'd be at Spurs now.
yeah.
It's
Mm,
I think it's all a smokescreen. I think it is all smoke and daggers. We will make an effort. We will make it sound like we're after these players,
yeah.
and then we come home with Tyler Diblin,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
tried
Yeah.
for the big ones. We haven't got them, so we got the youngster in.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
just quickly say hello to the people in the chat. What's the point, FC? Big up, mate.
Big up, mate.
Scotty M's in as well.
Big up,
Big up,
Scott.
Scott. Another week of no Spurs news, despite all the changes we all know we need. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
no
know,
surprise,
Scott.
is it?
I know, mate. It's
I think
just
we
it's
start every window. Every
it is.
window we
And
start like
the thing is,
twice
Nigel,
a
the
year.
thing that's so frustrating is that all these names are mentioned early in the window as well. You know what I mean? But all you ever see is Spurs are linked. And like the
Yeah,
kudos one, all right, we're in talks, but that's the only one. That's been the only one.
yeah.
What happened to the main target, Eze? What happened to him? They was told that everyone was told that the terms had been changed. 20 million a year over 3 years. Don't tell me we can't do that.
No, exactly.
And so he seems like he's off the radar as well now. I just don't know what we're doing, mate. I don't know what we're doing. We've got Champions League
what
next
do you
year.
I know, but what do you believe? That's the thing. Apparently, we've been after Eze for 2 or 3 years. By
Mhm.
all accounts, we were offered Eze last season, and Ange didn't want him.
Mm.
Well, what about this season?
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know what to believe. I really don't.
No, no, no. It's a lot of, like you say, there's a lot of noise, Nige, with not a lot of backing up going on, and the club don't help really, to be honest with you, because they don't really ever put anything out, Nige, do they?
No.
Do you know what I mean? It all, as far as transfers are concerned, I don't know if you remember, was it the last transfer window? I can't remember who it was that we got. It might have been a couple of the youngsters, but they were right under the radar. Oh, no, one of them was Odibert, wasn't it? Do you remember when we got Odibert? No one knew anything about that, and all of a sudden it was announced the next day, signed, all done and dusted.
I didn't even know who he was. I had to look him up.
That's what I mean. And there was another one as well. They did it very similar. I can't remember who it was now. They got someone in, not there's concrete interest. We'd got him, and it was announced the next day.
Done. Yeah.
And I think a few Spurs. I know deals can be difficult to be done, Nige, but also there's deals out there that are not difficult to be done. And you're not telling me. I don't care what anyone says. There's players out there of the level that we need that are in the wage bracket that we want to pay, but they're out there and they want to come and play for Spurs. You're not telling me there's no one out there.
Exactly.
Of the level,
it's so frustrating.
Yeah, it is, man.
Yeah.
It is.
It's frustrating. Let's say hello to Lisa. Evening,
Lisa.
Nice
to see you, love. Hope you're okay.
And Liston as well. Big up, Liston.
Yeah,
Hope you're well,
Liston.
mate. As expected, nothing happens. I feel sorry for Frank.
This is the thing, see, because if there's no incomings, okay, you might be coming in to a squad that's of a better level of players than what he had at Brentford. Do you know what I mean? But I'm sure he's also got players on a list somewhere of whatever bracket, that he would like to have at Tottenham. So, and if there's no one coming in, surely as a manager, straight away, you've got that feeling of, well, they're not backing me here. Because everyone knows without saying anything, Nige, you can speak to everyone in the chat, whoever. There could be 1,000 people in the chat and 998 of them will say to you, yeah, we agree with you. We know we need experience. We know we need some experience, 2, 3, 4 experienced players to come into that first team, not in the squad, into that first team, and that it's just not happening at the moment. And it like you say, that you hit the nail on the head, Nige. Frustrating. It is so frustrating.
It is because listen, I wasn't Ange's biggest fan, but what is the point of sacking him and bringing in Frank if we're not going to back him? And listen, there's still time. We could back him yet. We could, in the next week, we could spend 150 million on 3 players, bish, bash, bosh, and everyone's happy. But currently, everyone we seem to be linked with seems to be either rejecting us or going elsewhere. And again, they're only links, but that's all we can go with, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah. That's like I said to you earlier, Nige. I haven't seen anything from anyone that points you in the right direction of, oh, this could happen. This is close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spot on. What are we doing? What are we doing?
So Eze Semenyo,
yeah,
Kudus, and Abuemo. I mean, Kudus is still ongoing, obviously, but now Chelsea are in for him. And something I read on Twitter earlier said that apparently Spurs don't want to get into a bidding war, so that's almost their excuse.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm not getting Kudus. Yeah. So it's like that's 4 players we're missing out on already. So what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's just like I say. Yeah, it's not as if you even hear anything. We started off with the Eze thing, and then it moved on to Kudos. And it's just all gone quiet on the Western. And like you're right what you said. Now I saw that article earlier about Spurs not getting in a bidding war. Well, don't get in a bidding war. Just make a bid that's suitable for them and for us. Pay the geezer his wages. What did I read that his wages wasn't huge at West Ham? Kudos. He's not on a massive.
No, I don't know exactly how much, but yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
But apparently we could cope with an uplift in his wages and it'd still be within our structure easily, So it is, it is what it is, mate. We know how Mr. L works at the end of the day. You know, it
We
just
do.
frustrates you
We
when you
do.
see everyone else. You know, so that's a bit wrong. Not everyone else, but you know, the top teams, you see them buying players of the level to even maybe push on further to where they was from last year. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, even teams that are kind of Sunderland have done a bit of business. They've bought 2 or 3 decent players, you know, that could help them to stay up next year. And we're just like, we've done nothing, have we, as usual? You know?
We are doing what we do, mate. We have kept the Spursy tag. We win the Europa League, and
Yeah,
everyone's like, we've lost the Spursy tag, and we're back to being Spursy again.
yeah,
Let's
yeah, I
just say
agree.
hello to a few more people in the chat.
Yeah, mate.
Big up, Lee. I thought the Eze deal would be done by now,
All
but
right.
Levy's been Levy. Totally right. Listen, even my wife can tell you Spurs need experience. She doesn't even watch football. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Big up, Corey. It's a joke. Yeah. It's a club art joke. But listen, why is Levy chatting in the bidding wars? Must be something for. I don't know, mate.
Madness, mate.
It's so frustrating.
Madness.
Big up, Phil.
Big up, Phil.
And
Yeah.
Levy's looking for deals, not good players. Yeah, I absolutely agree. He's just
Yeah.
looking for the best deal, and it's not for the best deal for the club a lot of the time. It's the best deal for whatever he can get, isn't it? But I don't
Then
know,
you
mate.
say
It's
that
so
though, Nige,
frustrating.
when you're blowing dough on, you know, Solanke is what he is, but he's not 65 million quid, is he, or whatever he costs, 60 million quid. Not for me anyway. He's, you know, he needs to be banging the ball in and out a bit more. And again, he's another one this season that might benefit from Frank and a different style of football. You know,
Yeah.
but from what we've seen so far, I mean, he's not going anywhere. We've only just bought him, so he's going to have the chance to prove it next season. You know, but we do waste a lot of money, Nige, don't we? We do. We waste.
When you look at our 3 most expensive players
Yeah.
in Tottenham's history, and you look at the great players that we've had over the years, and we've been alive long enough to see some absolutely beautiful players play for
Yeah.
Tottenham.
Yeah.
But our
Agreed.
3 most expensive players, Solanke, Richarlison, and Dombele.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't be fit to tie the boots of any of the Tottenham players from the past.
That's nearly 200 million quid's worth without wages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you put the wages on top of that over the course of their contracts, and it's madness.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
I mean, I don't know because Frank has bought in. I'll have to look into this a bit more. Because Frank has bought his coaching staff in, Nige. Excuse me. Would that mean that? I'm not talking about the people at the top in the boardroom, but the scouts that are out, you know, around the world. Would that mean the scouts would change, as in, you know, those that are out on the front line looking for players in America and wherever, all over in different countries?
I don't know,
Would it
actually.
be Frank scouts now, or would they keep the same scouting team that's
I would
worked?
have thought. I would have thought it would be club scouts.
Right.
Because
Okay.
regardless of, managers come and go, don't they? I would have thought
Mm,
the managers and Frank would say, right, I want this type of player. I want a defender that can play out from the back, or I want a fullback that can defend.
yeah.
And then the scouts will go out and scout that kind of player. But
Yeah.
it is going to be interesting how Frank sets up this. Say if we don't sign anybody,
Yeah.
we've just got what we've got. It's going to be interesting to see how Frank sets up for me, because there is no way there's a 17th place team now. I think we're a lot better than that.
Agreed. Yeah, I
I
agree
think
with
I
you.
can't wait to. What I can't wait for is to see likes of Madison, to see the likes of Solanke, because I think if he stays up front, I think he gets 20 goals, because I actually think he's a good finisher
Yeah.
when in front of goal, but he's
Yeah.
just not in front of goal enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see if he does go free at the back, Nige. You know, with wing backs.
It's the rumours.
I think
That's the rumours,
because
isn't it?
to me, right, if you're playing with wing backs, you are allowing then people like Madison the space that he craves to do what he likes to do. you know, as a attacking midfielder, playmaker, whatever you want to call him. You know, we know from the last couple of seasons that everyone's been inverting into his space and narrowing the pitch down and whatever else. But I think that it'll make Maddison's life a lot easier with two wing backs bombing up and down. You know, like we used to have back in the day. You know, it'll be interesting. But me and you again have chatted about this. He's adaptable, Nige, isn't he? He can play four with two sitting in front. You know, he can do it always. You know, he's done it in lots of different formations.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, Mark, because I've literally just thought about that as you're talking about it. And obviously, I put out the thing earlier with the players that we've missed out on, the likes of Eze, the likes of Semenyo and Buemo.
Yeah.
And maybe Kudus. I know that Kudus and Eze could almost play in a number 10 role.
Yeah.
But maybe we haven't signed those players because we are playing wing backs next season. We're not looking for wide men.
It's a possibility, because when you think about it, we've got, I can't give you the exact numbers, but we've got a lot of so-called wingers, that are, you know, essentially playing as wingers, but they're not wingers. We know that they're inside forwards, you know. So I mean, I can imagine Udogie and Porro flying down the wings next season. Do you know what I mean? With you know, just have your three at the back, and I'm sure that one will be a sitter and just drop in to make a four. You know, if the ball gets lost, you know, and that would be the way to go. And obviously, as well, I don't think Frank will play as high up the pitch.
No.
You know, they're going to drop off 10 yards, which is going to make it easier for them as well. For me, it's all about, you know, I noticed with Frank's team that they like to try and win the ball back quick, especially when they're at home. He likes to retain the ball, but if they lose the ball, they're almost like fly swatting. Do you know what I mean? To get the ball back as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So I think you'll still see a lot of the work rate thing going on, because I think that's just how football is now, Nige. Do you know what I mean? But I also think that Frank will slow it down enough so we're not at 100 mile an hour all the time, because it's very difficult to play 100 mile an hour football for 90 minutes, as we saw for the last 18 months. You know, we gave the ball away an awful lot, Nige, last season. You know, even silly things, 5-yard passes, 10-yard passes, basic schoolboy stuff that you learn at school. You know what I mean? And we were playing so quickly all the time, 100 mile an hour, that we couldn't even do that properly. So it is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, because I think there'll be a lot of players that especially the paying customers have seen for the last 18 months, that over the next 6 months, with, you know, tactics being deployed and patterns of play and stuff like that, you'll see a lot of players improve, I think.
It's weird, because I've been so like focused on transfers, who we're getting in, we missed out on him. We've missed out on him. Oh, we're rubbish. What's going on with this club? And actually, when I sit back and I think we've got a new manager that I think is brilliant. And actually, yes, do I want new players? Absolutely. But I'm really excited to see what he can do with this squad, because I think we've actually got the basis, and we need players, of course, but I think we've got the basis of a really good team if they are coached properly. And I can't wait to see it. If we do play three at the back, Porro, and, you know, Porro's crossing is probably one of the best in the Premier League, I'd say.
Yeah.
And Udogie there's no doubt he's better going forward than he is going back. So I can't wait to see two wing backs bombing forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. But one thing I would say is, Nige, is that I think that we need another, we need a proper defensive midfielder. That defensive midfielder, you know, that that can just calm things down. And again, like we said, if we're going to play three at the back, that defensive midfielder could be the one that drops in to make a four if a Doggy and Porro are pushed up, you know. Yeah, it is going to be really, really interesting. I would really like to see a DM come in because I just think that we're still in that situation where we've got there's a level to the team, and then you've got 2 or 3 subs now, but you're still relying on a lot of the youth, you know, to be on the bench. So I still think that's where we're struggling. So this is why I want to see 2 or 3 come in that would come into the first team for the players that Frank wants, and then, you know, if 2 or 3 drop out and they're on the bench, fight for your place. Show us that you're better than what you have been, you know. And I think that we need, isn't it? A bit.
Yeah, that's what we need, definitely. Big up, Dave Clark. You've literally contradicted what I said a minute ago. But no, you're right in a way. They haven't proved it yet. But from the byline, I think the thing I like about Porro is that he crosses a bit like Beckham used to. It's almost like that in between the 18-yard box. You know what I mean? Those whipped crosses. A Doggy, I think, is really good at getting to the byline. I think that's when he's at his strongest. But yeah, big up, Nita. Who do you think is going to be our captain? Who do you think is going to be our captain?
Oh, it's difficult to know, isn't it?
I think it's Madison.
I mean, yeah, more than likely, it would go to Madison. Depends if Sonny stays, doesn't it, as well? And then on the vice captain front, whether Romero stays or not as well, you know. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you've heard anything. Does he work with a sort of, you know, the old, what do they call it, Nige? You know, those 3, the old bonding team or whatever it is that they call it.
I'm not sure that he will. I think he's probably going to go to one captain and the vice captain.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the best way. I think Vicario might get a shout, but I hate keepers being captain personally.
Yeah,
I don't know how you feel about that, but
again, Nige, they listen. It could happen that Frank will say, "Look, I want one person. I want this one person. I'm not asking you for anyone else. You know, give me this one person, whoever it is," and they get him in. Do you know what I mean, Nige? And he says to him, "Right, you're my captain." He knows him for whatever, over from the past, or he's played for him before, or whatever. You know, but I think all that sort of stuff will be decided towards the end of the window, wouldn't you think, Nige? Depending on who comes in and who stays and who goes. And
yeah, I would have thought. Obviously, I mean, Frank will know the players from playing against them, but he won't know them, and he will want his own right-hand man, won't he? That he trusts. So. Yeah, I think we'll have to wait until Frank actually gets in and knows and has worked with them for maybe a month or so before he makes a choice. Guys, before I go any further, please subscribe to the 2 Mark Show. The link I have pinned, so go to the top and get in there. Let's get them past 450 tonight. That would be absolutely amazing.
That'd be great. Make sure you subscribe to Nige as well. Make sure you subscribe to Nige over here, because he's Nige, you're about 740 now, aren't you? 750.
I'm about 740. Yeah, if I can get to 750, that would be amazing. Because it would almost feel like I'm 3/4 of the way down.
Yeah, we're working on it, mate.
What about Richarlison? Would you let him go?
Yes. Yeah, but obviously, as long as there's one coming in, do you know what I mean? Again, we'll go back to you got a new manager now. Now, he's obviously going to have a look at them at some stage over the course of the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, and he's going to decide who he wants and who he doesn't. For me, Richarlison is one of them fellas that on the pitch, he's, what's the word to use? Like, you know, when he's getting in players' faces, all right, my memory's gone blank. I can't remember the word. You know, he'll put himself about a bit and that, but it's just that the quality's not there Big up, Phil.
Mm.
The quality is not there
Exactly.
on a regular enough basis, and we saw last year with Richarlison, the ball bouncing off of him, couldn't control the ball, Nige. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, he had I can't remember if it was last season. Did he have a little run was it last season or the season before?
I think it
He
was
had
the
a little
season
run.
before. He's been injured, isn't he, most of this season?
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's just time for him to move on for me anyway. But you got to get someone in to replace him at the end of the day. Big up, Lisa.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's interesting seeing some of the comments. It's like I think I'm talking really sensible stuff, and then other people are like, "No, this is," and I'm like, "Actually, you're making a good point. We need top quality wingers and a striker plus a proper DM." Yeah, I kind of agree. Well, Porro
But
is a rubbish defender, but he's good going forward.
if they're playing a 3-5-2, if they're not playing 4 at the back, if they're playing 3 at the back, he's doing what you want him to do, isn't he? He's on the front foot, and he's not being relied on. Him and the doggy are not being relied on for their defending as much. Because what you got to remember is if we didn't play with a DM for 2 years, what's the point, right? So if Frank plays with a proper DM and we drop back 10 yards further, if the ball gets lost, rather than that DM or our midfielders being all over the place like they've been this season everywhere, you've seen this year Basuma running everywhere, putting out fires, Bentancur running everywhere, putting out fires. If we've got a proper DM sitting and he just drops in and makes a 4, that's giving them time to drop back off again. It's giving us a bit of shape at the back, what we didn't have last year with 2 at the back. That's how I'm looking at it.
It was so hard. I feel really, listen, Porro's not the best defender. We know that. We've always known that. But when you're played it in a system where both fullbacks are literally tucked into the almost playing centre midfield, what chance have they got? They're going to look exposed every single game.
Yeah.
So I think the season's going to be different. I think we're actually going to see the best out of Udogie and Porro. And I'm not concerned about the fullback area at all. I'm concerned. What's your most concerning place? Because mine would be the midfield.
Yeah, mine's the midfield.
I don't think we got enough quality.
Yeah, there's not enough quality in midfield. I think Bergvall will come on this season. I think you could see towards the end of the season, or from midway through and onwards, that he had a bit more composure on the ball. I think that will grow into him as time, because you can see that the kid can play football. We don't know how good he is. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here and putting him on a massive pedestal. All I'm saying is that in the catastrophe of league form last year, there were times when he received the ball and done the right thing with it, and there was a lot of times where he didn't do the right thing with it. But again, with a bit of coaching, being sensible, not trying to do things that are beyond him at the moment, I think it will definitely improve. My main thing is, Nige, is that I think that, especially if we are going to play a 3, we need to get a proper defensive midfielder in. That is my number one. And don't get me wrong, we need forwards. I know we do. But if we're going to set up with a proper structure, for me, we need that defensive midfielder in front, just to mop up and let the attacking players do what they do best. Just get the ball back and give it to someone who can do something with it,
Yeah,
I think that's where we're at. It's difficult, sorry to go on. It's just where I thought of it in the head. We won the Europa last year, right? But we finished 17th. And when you're trying to get players in, and they're looking at what we did last year, and I go, yeah, they won the Europa Cup last year, but Jesus Christ, they lost 22 games. Not too sure that I want to go and play for them. What's wrong at that club for them to be losing 22 games?
It's exactly what I said on Tuesday night on Beyond the Lane, and I got shut down pretty quickly that 17th isn't an issue. 17th is not a reason why players wouldn't join us. I think it is. I think
Yeah, I
if
do.
we finish 17th in the league, then maybe on one season, maybe it doesn't really affect it on one season. But if we're going to do that regularly, then I think we're not going to attract top players. But I think Philly has a good point here. I cannot pronounce his name. Schoenmund, is it? Schoenmund? But he's a player I'd really would like.
Human,
I think he's
yeah,
a really good number 6.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so for me, if we can sign him, I'd be more than happy. But for me, and again, like you said earlier about Frank likes to adapt, he likes to change
yeah.
formations, he does different games, different formations. If we're playing a 3 at the back, I don't think it's as necessary to have a number 6, but certainly if we're only playing 2 at the back,
Mm.
then we do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But Lee's saying we need a top forward. I think it's going to be Rashford on loan. How would you feel about Rashford on loan?
He needs to take a big wage cut, mate, doesn't he?
He's on a lot of money, isn't he?
300 grand a week or something he's on. So
Yeah.
whether or not they could arrange a deal with United that it was half and half or something like that, I think that's what Villa done when they sorted a deal out with United. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, with what we've got up front, mate, I'm not going to say no. He's a former England international. I know he can be moody and everything else, Nige. You know that as well as I do.
Yeah.
But, you can't say he's not better than what we've got.
No, but it's a frustrating thing, isn't it? Is that Rashford for me on loan is an absolute no-brainer because he's not our problem. We can have him. We get the best out of him because he's World Cup. Yeah, I think it's an absolute no-brainer. But I want to sign players that we fall in love with. That's our players, and
Yes.
not they're due for now. You know what I mean? But I would take Rashford on loan currently because it doesn't look like we're signing anyone else, does it?
Yeah. Yeah. When does the window run to, Nige? Is it a shorter window or does it run all the way up to the end of August still? Does it run that long?
I'm pretty certain it's still the end of August, but let us know in the chat if you know any different. Is it end of August? Is it I'm pretty certain it is still the end of August.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mike Pitt saying captain should be Kulu. I'm taking it's Kulu.
Yeah.
But again, he's not fit at the moment, is he? So
no, he's out as well, isn't he, for a while?
I did see him in the training videos today. He was obviously in the gym doing some work. So how much longer he's out for, I don't know.
No, I'm not sure how long he's out for.
But yeah,
well, there you go. Milton's just put in 4th of September, Nige.
Oh, is it?
There you go. So there's whatever, a couple of months, isn't there?
Plenty of time, isn't there? But it'd be nice to get players in before the start of the season. So the last thing we want is to get players in after the season started.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help anyone when deals are being done, and like you say, the season's a week to go, or the season's already started, because he wants these players on the training pitch for a couple of weeks before they get going, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and playing in the pre-season friendlies and stuff, So,
exactly.
Yes, it is what it is, mate.
Exactly. Let's just go for the chat. Pigeon to pain
you.
Yeah, for me, I'm quite happy to let him go.
Yeah.
But big up, Adrian. How you doing, mate? Signing Towel, giving Davis. Yeah. Do you think Sonny has made the choice to stay? If he is staying, do you think it's going to be his choice, or do you think the club decide?
Well, he signed that not signed it. They took out. He had an extra year, didn't he, on his contract?
Yeah.
Now, did he have to sign that extra year, Nigel, or does he just have to agree to it, or is it the club that say we want you to say? Yeah.
I'm pretty certain it's just in his contract that it just automatically kind of happens. I guess there must be something. He must have to.
Yeah.
I think it's automatic. I think you get the contracts for another year automatically, but maybe maybe if he gets a choice of a big or a club that he wants to move to comes in, he can move.
But
I
yeah,
just think it's a perfect opportunity. If we can get 30 million from now,
yeah,
why would you not
yeah,
accept it?
yeah. I agree. I agree. What did we buy him for, Nige? It was 20 something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was about 22 million,
22, 20, yeah, something like that. So
something like that.
I'm
Yeah.
sure Levy will still make a profit on him. But does Levy want to keep him there for all the shirt sales still, Nige, and all the merch and all that sort of stuff? You know,
That would be disappointing, wouldn't it, if that was the case? We're just
we
keeping him for like shirt sales.
yeah, I know it's
That would
madness,
be
isn't it?
that
Yeah,
would be disappointing.
yeah.
Just go through the chat some more. These players are not good enough. No, they're not. They're not. I don't know. There's some of them are though. I don't think they're all that bad. I
No,
mean,
I mean there's players that you would uh, listen. Are there any players in this squad, Nige? I'll ask you a question, right? You know, we're in transfer window time now. If any offer came in for any Tottenham player, yeah, right, you tell me the ones that you'd say, no, I want to keep him in the squad. Out of all of them, just out of, the first teamers, not so much the youth players, because some of them might go, some of them might not. But, your general squad of 16 or so, how many of them are you thinking in your head, oh, I'll keep him, yeah, I'll keep him? Because there's not many.
let us know. No,
If you was
let us know
given
in the comments
choice,
as well.
if you
For
was given,
me, there's only two.
yeah,
And even them, I wouldn't be against selling. I'd just be disappointed if we did. And that would be Van der Ven and
yeah,
Madison.
yeah,
The rest, I couldn't really care less.
that's it. I'd like to see, in a way, I would like us to keep Bergval because I just think that there's levels to him, and it's whether he gets to that right level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He just looks like a really interesting footballer, I think, to watch. He's got a bit of tech about him. He can get stuck in and be a bit, hot-headed, but I think maybe that could have been a lot of the pressure that was put on him when he first came in, But I just think I've just, watched him a few times, passes coming into him, little turns, laying it off, or he might knock a 25-yard ball or whatever. And he just seems to be that sort of player that, in time could elevate us. It doesn't mean he's going to do it right now, but with Frank coming in, who knows if he's going to carry on that upward, because he's definitely improved from when he came in, Nige, definitely. I mean, what happens?
I agree.
What happens with players like Thomas Frank wanted Archie Gray at Brentford, right?
Yeah.
Brennan Johnson was close to going to Brentford before we got him, right? And we went in and paid over the top for both of those players to get them, right? So Thomas Frank's coming in now, and those two players are with us. So Thomas Frank must have maybe, implied that he fancied Archie Gray when he was at Leeds. Would you not think?
Well, yeah. Yeah, because I would have thought that Frank would have 100% of the transfer dealings at Brentford. I would have thought he was the main man. If he wanted a player, he got him.
Yeah,
If he didn't want a player, he didn't get him.
Yeah.
Slightly different at Spurs, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I never even thought about Archie Gray.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we don't even know what his best position is, do we?
No,
is he a right back? Is he a centre midfielder? We don't know.
This is it, isn't it? This is it. It's another thing, Nigel. It's going to be really interesting to see if he integrates him, into the squad and either plays him regular or brings him on as a sub or does whatever. But position as well. Is he going to use him like Ange did as a utility man? If he hasn't got a left back on the bench and a doggy gets injured, rather than going to free at the back, I'll stick Archie there just for the last 20 minutes or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I want to see him in midfield. As far as I'm concerned, he was bought. Big up, Mark. He was bought as a midfielder, wasn't he?
Yeah, buddy.
As far as I'm aware.
I don't know, mate. I don't
So,
know.
you know,
This is the thing. Yeah, I thought he was a midfielder, but then
yeah,
didn't he only play like 40% or 30% of his game with Leeds at centre midfield, and the other times he was right back.
yeah,
It's so difficult. It's
it
so
is.
difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult, Nige. Big up, Peter. Yeah,
Big up,
it
Peter.
is difficult, mate, and it's I don't know. I think a lot of it is just going to be, you know, we don't know with the transfer window. We know what we want. We want two or three to
Yeah,
come in that are established players and just mould the team a little bit more.
yeah.
But whether it's going to happen or not, Nige, I don't know. I really don't know.
No, it's a difficult one. I like we were talking about our centre halves earlier, and I brought this up, and we have our centre half options
Yeah,
currently, and this is what they are.
yeah,
So Romero, Van de Ven, Vuskovic, Phillips, Danzo, Dragushin, the new guy, and Dorrington.
yeah,
Now you would think probably Dorrington would be out on loan again.
yeah,
You would think probably Phillips would be out on loan again.
yeah.
This new guy Takai, know nothing about him. But I would have thought he'd probably be loaned out. What do you think about him?
Now, I don't know a lot about him. He played for a team, or he's playing for a team called Kawasaki something at the
Yeah,
moment. 5 million they've paid for him.
yeah,
I don't know enough about him, Nigel. He's one of them that I've got to do a bit more research into.
yeah,
When it was announced straight away, and then obviously we got Danzo earlier on.
yeah.
I just think Romero's going to go, Nige. He's in the picture there, but I don't think he's going to be here. So you're looking at if
That's
he
the
was
third.
gone, yeah,
Yeah,
and Phillips and Dorrington were out on loan. I don't know when Dragusin is fully fit again. I don't know if he's fit for the start of the season or if it's later. I thought I read somewhere it was December.
yeah. He's still out for a while, I think.
So,
Um,
you know, we've got if 1, 2, with Dragusin 3, Vuskovic 4. There's 5 there with the new lad,
yeah,
with the Japanese lad. There's 5.
mm,
So if you're asking Van de Ven, Danzo, and one other, if Romero goes,
it's not
as
enough, is
many
it?
centre backs we've only got 2 there and Dragusin that have
Yeah.
for you know, if you're playing 3 at the back, you're going to be struggling, aren't you? So perhaps Phillips won't go out on loan. I don't know.
I mean, obviously, Davis isn't in there, is he? But again,
Oh, I forgot about Davis. Yeah, but yeah, again, it is what it is. But
mm,
yeah, it's so difficult, man. You know, with players there that are injured, inexperienced players. You got 2 there. You know, Vuskovic, we've heard great things about him, but we need to see it.
yeah,
You know, like you say, the young Japanese lad, I don't know anything about him. Dragusin's not going to be fit. So a lot of this is going to depend on whether Romero goes, and if he does go, do they get another one in?
mm,
You know, because
yeah,
if he's playing 3 at the back now, he's going to be one gets injured, he could be in trouble there. You know, to carry on playing 3 at the back, that's when he might have to revert to go to 4 at the back and dropping Udogie and Porro off again, or playing them
yeah,
further up and putting in a Spence and a Ben
yeah.
Davis at left back or whatever. You know.
Right, I agree. I think Nita's got a question here. Even if we buy players with quality, we do not develop players to give us long-term success. Football has changed. Why are we not able to have players we can develop?
So,
I mean,
well,
we have got young players we can develop, haven't we?
yeah,
I kind of think that's the model we go down, isn't it? Buying young to develop them and then sell them on.
we're not very good at selling, Nige, are we? You know, when you have a look at Chelsea,
Right.
when you go to Chelsea and look at their youngsters that they bring in,
Mm.
and that have barely played first team football. Cole Palmer was a bit of an exception, but he still went for 50 million quid.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not into Chelsea. I can't name all these players that they've sold. Man City are good at it as well. They'll bring their youth through. Look at what's his name, McAtee. McAtee's just
Yeah.
played a few
Mm.
games for last season, cup games and the odd Premier game, I think. They're
Yeah.
asking 25, 30 million quid for him. But we don't sell players for that. You know, we're very good at buying players and sort of end up having this affection to them. Not necessarily us, but you know, like you were saying, Ben Davis 10-year contract. 10 years. Sorry, just had
Yeah.
another extension on his contract, and I
Yeah.
just find it a bit. So like you said earlier, and with Sonny and that, the time comes, Nige, where it's time to refresh. And like you
Yeah.
said, it would have probably been a great time for Davis to go to Wrexham or Cardiff or whatever it is, for Sonny to go to Saudi or to go to America. That gives them their payday, and then we can freshen up again and go again with a new manager, new tactics, new system. You know what I mean? But we don't do it, mate. We just don't do it. Very rarely do it. And the
No,
other good
and
thing
that's
we're good at is when we do buy a player for a reasonable price, and they end up being fantastic for us 9 times out of 10. Just as they're getting to that point, a Real Madrid are coming, and the player's not going to say no. I don't know many that do say no to Real Madrid. Look at, going back in the day a bit, but Modric, you look at Modric, right? Look where he was with us. He went to the next level, but he was brilliant for us. Gareth Bale, just as the examples for Real Madrid, getting sold for 90 odd million quid, whatever it was. But look what he did for us before he went to them. He was there. This is the problem. We sell them, Nige. When we get players, whether they've come through the youth system, Harry Kane, it's just what we do.
It is what we do, and the thing is, I haven't even got an issue with that, because it would be different if we had a great team and we are selling all our great players from a great team. But we've been Spurs fans long enough to know that most of the time we have the odd good player sparkled in a
Yeah,
team. We have the odd great player. Modric and Bale were in the same side, but I think, did Modric go first? I think he did, didn't he?
I believe
Modric
so.
go
Yeah,
before Bale?
just before. Yeah.
But I haven't got a problem with selling players if we get a good wage for them, a good profit
Yeah,
for them.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
then how we spend the money back, because
yeah.
we're not a Real Madrid. We're gonna lose players to Real Madrid, and I saw today that apparently Real Madrid are looking at Udogi,
All right.
um,
Okay.
40 million euros. So I can't
No,
see that being a price that we'd let them go for. But
they're not
I
gonna.
don't I don't I can't
They're
see
not
that
gonna
happening.
sell him for that.
But Razzle Dazzle saying a simple question: who was the last player we actually developed and sold for a profit, apart from Harry Kane, I guess?
Mm, mm. Yeah.
I can't think of any. There were so many, or there were a few, weren't there? But Dele Alli, obviously, we bought for 5 million,
Mm.
and he
Yeah.
was up. But again,
Yeah.
if we'd sold him up here, mate, when he was playing brilliantly, the fans would
Mm.
have been nutball, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Definitely.
So
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, this is what I mean when I say to you about the scouting. I know it's just, this is just my opinion, by the way. That we used to find players. Like you were saying, the Dele Alli. Now I know when you find, sometimes you find players, you think you've especially younger players, and they're doing it like Dele Alli was in League One. He came straight in to the Premiership and lit it up. Do you know what I mean? And he really did light it up, didn't he? For a couple of
he's
seasons,
brilliant,
he was
brilliant.
fantastic. And I think those players, they're out there. They are out there, but we don't scout players like that anymore, or we don't seem to. I know we've gone abroad and done it with Bergvall, 10 million, and hopefully that'll work out all right. But there's been many instances where we've tried to do it, but also on the other hand where we've paid the money. And I wonder sometimes with Levy where he's had his fingers burnt a few times, where they've bought the wrong players for big money, and now he's like, do you know what? We just go middle of the road now. I'm not doing that no more. So
Yeah,
I don't know what he's thinking, no, mate. Who knows what he's thinking? I don't know. But the more I think about it, I was quite excited when it seemed like upstairs was changing, Nige. And then as soon as the couple of interviews that I've seen have come out with them all, walking around and sitting down, drinking their wine and whatever, I just think it's all another cover-up's the wrong word, isn't it, Nige? But just another, we'll change the board at the top. We'll make it look like we're doing something. And it's not.
Yeah.
They haven't done anything, really. They've just replaced a few people.
No, probably all they've done is just moved a few people around.
Yeah.
And it's really no different than what it was before.
No.
But it is nuts. Guys, there are 28 in the room. Please, if you haven't already, please get over to the 2 Mark Show and subscribe to them. Let's get them up past 4:30 tonight. That would be absolutely amazing if we can do that.
Thank you.
And
subscribe to Nige as well, people. We're trying to get into 750 tonight. I know you can do it.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
But again, Razzle Dazzle saying here, how much money have we wasted on Brian Gills and the Salsos of this world?
Yeah.
Who sit out of contract. And I just saw obviously a picture of Brian Gill back in training with Spurs today.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to be there, is he?
You wouldn't have thought so. You wouldn't have thought so.
We have wasted so much money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah. Big up, Danny. Yeah. Could have sold Dele Alli for 80 million at one point.
Yeah. He was a sensation when he come in, wasn't he? Absolute sensation. To go, and that's what I mean. To go from League One football to come straight in and do what he did for those couple of years was, brilliant. And it doesn't happen very often. Wasn't it? It doesn't happen
from the very first game.
Yeah.
From the very first game, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
And saying Harry Kane left 85 million on bank. He came up from the academy. Daniel Levy. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
It's just. But the thing is, we wasted that money, didn't we? Because we bought Tau with half of it. And what are you making a Tau, mate? Because it just doesn't excite me.
No, this is the problem, and I think this was a lot of the problem last couple of years, Nige, with the wingers that we've got. We stopped going past defenders for whatever reason. If you remember rightly, when he came in, it was all about getting to the byline and getting it over. You remember, it was almost like we wanted to tap it in all the time. And last season, especially, going past defenders, it just seemed like, like wingers going past defenders and getting to the byline and crossing it. It just happened very rarely, very, very rarely. And then 9 times out of 10, the delivery weren't good enough. For going on to the Tell subject, Nige, he doesn't particularly excite me, but it's hard, Nige, because he's just another kid at the end of the day. I don't know what he is, 20, 19, 20, 21, whatever he is, right? And I'm not using that as an excuse. But again, it's so difficult because he was playing in a shit show. But at the same time, did he do anything when he was at Bayern? Not as far as I know. Not anything to write home about. And it's not our money. You know what I mean? we say about 40 million for Tell, 60 million for Richard. It's not our money, but we are allowed to sit here and say, Jesus, we don't think he's worth that. Why are we not going and buying him for 10 or 15 million? Because if he'd have been bought for that, I don't think you'd have probably had a lot of the response that's been going about with it. Because, especially when, as well, you need a DM. You know what Paulinia wants out of Bayern.
It's crazy, isn't it?
You know what
Crazy.
I mean? And it's like, hang on a minute, we've got however much we've got there. I'm sure we've got enough there to cover Paulinia. Do you know what I mean? And all the rumours were that he wanted to come back to the Premier League. And I don't know anyone else that's bid for him. Perhaps you will be able to put me right on that. But, he's the type of player, you get someone like him in there, or Dan's favourite DM, a Locatelli, someone like that, someone with a bit of experience.
You've absolutely knocked on the head, though, mate. You just said experience.
Yeah.
And I just feel that Levy doesn't want experience. He wants money. He wants to buy these young players. If he can build them up enough to double his money or treble his money, then happy days. Polini is an absolute. It's just a home run. If they owe us 40 million, 35 million for Kane, we'll just have Polini. Every fan would take that in a heartbeat, but I reckon he's too old for Levy. So Levy won't buy him. Same with Locatelli. Watch us go and buy this kid from this young kid that we've been linked with. I've forgot his name now. Is he Dutch or the ginger-haired guy who looks a bit like De Bruyne? Looks like a really good young player.
Xavi Simons.
No. Is he? I can't remember how old he is. Someone will tell me in chat. But we've been linked with him and Smith, I think. Someone Smith.
Okay.
But he looks like a really good young player, but he's young and it looks like he, in 2 or 3 years, he could be a world beater. But right now, that's it. Reece Smith. And this Richard Rios as well. Looks really good.
He looks
really good
good.
talent. I think he's a bit older, isn't he? I think he's 23 or 24.
He is a bit older. Yeah.
But there are so many good players out there. I'm just worried that Spurs are just going to go young again and we'll go for the likes of Tyler Diblin again. Tyler Diblin is another one. It kind of excites me. I like him. But I would have liked him and 2 or 3 others that get straight into that first team. I would have liked him instead of Tell. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what we can do. What's the point saying Rios is 25?
He's the right age for me then. Do you know what I mean? He's got a bit of experience. You know what I mean? He's been about a bit. He's 25. A lot of us are sitting here saying, he's a decent player and we'd take him in our team. Well, is Richard Rios, is he playing in Brazil or something, somewhere like that, is he? Or
Corey says he's 25, watch a lot of Brazilian football.
Oh, there you go.
Challenge.
It is Brazil, yeah.
He is.
He looks really, really good. Really good. Yeah. Palmeiras, that's it. Thanks, Adrian,
Got a question here from Danny. Do either of you have hope for this window? I'll let you answer that, mate.
I think you've always got to have a bit of hope, Dan, but at the end of the day, knowing how Levy works, it's just a wait and see game. And I'm waiting. I've got to the stage of my being a fan of Tottenham Hotspur that, the links are great. Concrete interest is fantastic, but until they've got the shirt on their back, they're not a Spurs player. When I see that picture and they've got that shirt on, that's great. But hope for the window. I would hope that he would get a couple of experienced players in, Dan, rather than more young kids. But whether he does it or not, history will say that the way that, the wage bill's been going down that way, that he probably won't do that. But at the end of the day, like me and Nige said earlier, we got Champions League next year, and Frank can coach the team as much as he wants and improve players, to a certain degree, just by style, like we said, style and structure and tactics and, drumming things into certain players of how he wants them to play. But it's so difficult to answer a question like that, isn't it, Nige? And Dan, I don't know. Perhaps Dan doesn't think it is. But, yeah, it's just a wait and see game, because it's just mad. It's just mad.
It's one of them, isn't it?
I just don't understand.
Start the window.
I don't understand, Nigel, why we just, they've got people there that are looking at the talent they want to come in for weeks and months. It starts after one window finishes. A window finishes and people are looking for the next window and so on for the next window. And I don't understand why we just can't get it done early doors. Just get it done, get the players in. They'll come in when training starts again. They'll be with all their new teammates and they'll all be integrating together. It
does make you wonder.
We can't do that.
It does make you wonder what these scouts, what these directors of football, whatever they are, makes you wonder what they actually do for a living. Because
yeah.
They should, like you say, everything should be in place. Like everything's in place. The transfer window opens, bish bash bosh. We've done it. Got our players, but Spurs never seem to work that way. And I just don't understand. I don't understand why we always seem to be scraping around at the bottom of the barrel late in the transfer window. And don't get me wrong, I do like a last day transfer window with Spurs because now and again we do get the odd gem in, not very often. But I just think, to answer Dan's question, I think I started off with hope, thinking I think Spurs might go big this summer. Champions League, I think we might go big. But with every day and week that passes, I'm just like, and every player we seem to miss out on, I'm just like, I know we're going to end up with Tyler Diblin. I know we're probably going to end up with another 20-year-old midfielder.
Carl Walker-Peters.
Carl Walker-Peters is almost a guaranteed certainty. It wouldn't even surprise me if we sign him on Monday or Tuesday. I think Carl Walker-Peters will be our next signing. And it's just so bloody Spursy, and that's why we never lose our Spursy tag, because it's what we do. And it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. I actually think that Levy don't care about the Champions League. I don't think he gives a toss.
It's just about getting in it so he gets that money.
I don't think he expected us to be in it this season, because we've been down the bottom half of the table for most of it. I think it's just a bonus, and they take whatever money you can get out of it. And if we go out in the group stage or the league stage, I don't think in minds they'd probably make 20 million from it anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
Why spend 100? Why spend 100+ million on players to try and get us through the group stage when you can make 20, 30 million just going out of it anyway?
Yeah, it's a good point, mate. It's a good point. But at the end of the day, we want people in charge of us that want to win, Nige. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Levy's come out and said it, hasn't he? He said, I want to win the Premier League. I want to win the Champions League. What is he doing saying that? That's the worst thing he could ever say.
Madness, wasn't it, mate? Absolute madness to say stuff like that. You finished 17th in the league, but you want to go and win the Champions League and the Premier League. I mean, don't get me wrong, it'd be a dream to win the Premier League in our lifetime. Do you know what I mean? But it just seems we're getting further and further away from it. We was there, weren't we? We was up there for them 2 or 3 years, and it just all died a death.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let's go for a bit more to chat, see if there's any more questions in there.
That's funny. That
just seeing the rumour at West Ham. Oh wow, yeah. But yeah, West Ham want Rios, isn't he linked with Inter Milan as well?
Yeah, I think
you would think Inter Milan or Spurs is going to be Inter Milan, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think West Ham have a chance.
No. Yeah, it's true. It's such a thing in the transfer window because, like I say, we don't really know what's going on. We hear of a few links and that, and then You know, it's I don't know. I think there's so many ITKs out there now putting out so many different things, and I think I think 90% of it's a load of rubbish, personally. But it's very rare because you didn't see the ITKs knowing anything about Wilson Odibert coming in, did you?
No, that's it. It's all rumours, isn't it? And we trouble is, as fans, we fall for it all.
Yeah, of
We
course.
see a rumour, it's like brilliant.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah.
Just keep that through the chat a minute. I guarantee if Romero sold. Yeah, even if Romero sold, we won't be buying anyone of Romero's quality. You know,
Yeah.
we will be buying a cheap, young alternative.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, you know, what we said about, you know, Dele Alli and that, and it's a bit of a different path. Vuskovic has come on a similar path to Bergvall, you know, where he stayed out on loan, and he's coming into the squad now, you know, and I don't think he'll start by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he'll be one if Frank sees what, you know, other people are seeing. Adrian has been a big advocate of Vuskovic since you know we signed him, and I know that he keeps an eye on the players that are out on loan. But you know, all the words that are coming back is that he's a decent defender and he scores a few goals, you know, from set pieces with his head. So we'll have to wait and see, mate, if he's the next one that comes along, you know.
I like Vuskovic. He looks deep, but again, we're seeing him in the Belgium league without sounding rude. You know, I think me and you playing centre half could probably look half decent in the Belgium league.
Probably.
Let's see what he does in the Premier League.
That's
And
it.
I think personally he needs a loan. He needs a loan to a championship side.
Yeah.
Let's see how he is against proper men, you know, playing proper football.
Yeah. And this is half of our problem, Nigel, isn't it? When we talk about buying kids, it's okay buying kids and then you end up with a few of them in the team. But if these kids are not brave and, you know, I don't know, if manly enough, I know they haven't got the build and they start getting pushed about, they soon lose heart, Nigel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Hotspur Hood saying if Levy was a club pub man, he'd only go home with 25 stone butch bird. I think the sheriff might have gone home with a 25 stone butch bird tonight.
Yeah, he's disappeared off the face of the earth, Dan. He was 7 pints in at about what time, Mark? Hang on, I'll have to check.
About 5 o'clock, wasn't it?
Yeah, 5 o'clock. He was about 7 pints in and he had another 4 pints ready to go. So I think he's steaming tonight, to be honest with you. He's all right. Good luck to him.
Exactly.
I'll get on it now and again, ain't you?
But yeah, hit a subscribe on the 2 Mark Show for Sheriff, because God knows where he is. He'll appreciate it in the morning with that headache.
He will when he looks, yeah. We got a sub. That's all right.
Yeah, I would sell Richard's son too. Absolutely.
He is on it like a car bonnet, mate, honestly, because normally Dan, he's in the WhatsApp group, in the chat, and he's always chatting away. And me and Nigel have been chatting this evening, and he normally jumps in and says something, but we haven't really heard anything from him, Nigel. We one message, I think.
No. Couple of photos of Amstels, that's about it.
That's it, yeah. Yeah. Good luck
probably
to him.
falling asleep somewhere.
But, yeah, I would as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd have a defensive midfielder sitting, playing free at the back. There's no doubt to drop in when the wing backs are pushed on, lose the ball, drop the DM in, or the DM sitting in front of the back three as they spread across, waiting for them to drop off again. You know?
Yeah, it always gives us cover then, always gives us thought at the back, doesn't it, regardless?
Definitely.
And let's be honest, Frank is going to be a lot more defensively minded than Ange was.
Yeah. I think there'll be a lot more build-up play, wouldn't there? You know, I think you might actually see Spurs players, and I've been a big critique of Spurs players for this. I don't see enough movement off the ball.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? From players that haven't got the ball to make space for the player
Yeah,
that has got the ball to
yeah,
either make a pass or whatever. And that's one of my biggest criticisms of Spurs. I see a lot of I don't know if standing about's the right word, not necessarily standing on the spot, but not being aware enough of what's going on. And what we was talking about, patterns of play, Nige, and stuff like that. And I think that will definitely improve this season. You'll see a lot more patterns of play, players making runs off the ball that you
yeah.
didn't see as much of last year because it was all about being congested in midfield. Do you know what I mean? And pushing on. But yeah, hopefully we'll see a lot more of that, and then it might bring out a bit of something in players like Bergvall to get a bit better this season.
I agree. I think as much as the Ange philosophy was very much like, I want Spurs to play. We
Yeah, yeah,
play. I think it was at times, for the most part, very rigid.
yes.
Players were in their set positions, fullbacks
Mm.
were inverted, line was high. I think we'll see a lot more patterns of play. There were no patterns of play under Ange, was there really? We had kind of one that was like get it out wide, cross it in.
That's it.
Apart from that, there was very little.
Yeah, yeah,
Very
agree,
little.
mate. Agree. Yeah.
But Hotspur saying had done half a bottle of Southern Comfort. That's going, mate. I think on New Year's Eve I did half a bottle of what did I do? Kraken. That yeah.
Oh, Kraken,
I was
yeah.
throw I was throwing up most of that night. It's a
Oh,
good night
yeah.
though. After the stream, but yeah.
Mm.
Rumour is Marcus seen cuddling a photo of Gowan Mabbott. Quite possibly. Quite
Yeah,
possibly. With a sock in his hand, maybe.
yeah. In the local boozer.
Razzle Dazzle saying totally agree on that one. What players do you actually think Champions League quality in our squad right now? Oh, this is a good question.
It's a very good question. And
What
it's
do you think,
very
mate? I think
difficult.
Maddison.
Yeah, it's very difficult to say, though. Yeah, Maddison. I would say, again, it's like we could be talking about players that are not here. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, Romero is
Yeah.
as much as he's, I agree with a lot of people. He's a very good defender. He's won the World Cup, blah, 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 blah. But at Spurs, when it's not going right, he misses a lot of games, first of all. Yeah. So does VDV. Whether you can put that down to injuries through Ange or not is a different story, right?
Yeah.
But the last 2 years, both of those have been injured regularly. And I think over the course of the 2 years, they've missed over half the games. So first of all, I want players that can keep themselves fit. I know players get knocks, you know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
At the same time, Nige, there's not many a time where you will get 11 players come out on the pitch and they're all what me and you would call 100%. Players are always playing with little knocks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's stuff that they can cope with and carry on playing, and obviously stuff that they can't. But, it's just going to be interesting. I think this is, this is not going to be a rebuild or anything like that. This is a new coach coming in, just playing a different way, and at the end of the day, all I want is for him to be backed a little bit from the people that are above, get him 2 or 3 experienced players in. And I think you'll see a different Tottenham next season. I think you'll see that anyway. But with 2 or 3 coming into the first team, I think we would be all right. We would be all right.
That's the thing for me is like we've said already. It's not like Andrew's in charge again and we're going for the same old season with the same old players. We've got a new manager, plays a slightly different way.
Yeah.
Obviously, no one's going to be as gung-ho as Ange was. But anyone who thinks that Frank is just a small team manager, plays long ball football, direct, you haven't seen Frank. He's a very astute coach. He likes to play out from the back. He liked, obviously, Flecken, I really like Flecken, who was in goal from last season. I think he's moved on now.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he likes to play out from the back, good on the ball. They play good football, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can get out of better players at Spurs. And there's no doubt Spurs have got better players than Brentford. I think we're going to be in for a surprise, and if we could just sprinkle like 2 or 3 players to come straight into that first team,
Yeah,
listen, we're not going to be winning any leagues. We're not going to be winning the Champions League, but I'm expecting a top 6 finish. If we can get, I would say, 3 players drop into
yeah,
that first team, I think we've got every chance of finishing that top 6. And then from there, we can go on again.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
anyone expecting Frank to finish in a Champions League spot in his first season, and I'm hearing fans saying, oh, he has to win some at first season because Ange did in his
No,
second. I'm just like, we've got to give him time. We've got to
yeah.
give Frank time.
No, it's going on what you just said about Frank Lights playing it out for the back. What are your feelings on Vicario being in goal for him then? What are your thoughts about that? Because a lot of fans have been very critical of Vicario's footwork playing out from the back. What are your thoughts about that? What can Thomas Frank do different that Ange wasn't doing to help Vicario out a bit?
Oh, God. Well, not having like 2 at the back every week would be a massive help to start with.
Yeah.
I just think listen, we all know Vicario's not the best with his feet.
Mm,
He's not. But what he is one of the best shot stoppers in the Premier League.
yeah.
He's not great on crosses either. I think, if we could like put Vicario and Kinski together, I think we'd have a really good keeper because I think Kinski is very good on crosses,
Yeah.
and I think he's a lot better with his feet. Maybe a bit too overconfident with his feet at times, but I like Vicario. I don't think he's great with his feet, but I think the fact that when he gets the ball, he won't only have a Van der Ven or a Romero in front of him. He will have always, you would think, 3 or 4 players back. I think we'll see better from Vicario. Listen, I've been the first one to say I would be looking to replace Vicario. Maybe not this season, obviously. I think next season, I would be looking to get better. But we have got to remember also, Van der Hey, who come into United when he first came in, awful at crosses, awful with his feet. He
Mm,
didn't get a lot better with his feet, but he got a lot better with crossing. I think you've got to give keepers, especially, a couple of years. So for me, this season's his season.
yeah.
If he does
Yeah.
it, great. If he doesn't, I'd be looking to get rid and replace him.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I'm the same. And also I just want him to be a bit more commanding on his crossing nights, where the ball's coming over from crosses, because he can flap a little bit, and that bothers me a little bit. But again, playing a different system and that Nige might it might bring out, again, it's the coaching, isn't it? I'm sure that Thomas Frank would have seen in all of our players, there's things that he would like to think that he can improve that player at doing certain things. So I just think that, when it all kicks off and it all starts and he's got him in for training and he's doing what he's doing, I don't know how long it is to PSG. I know that I'm sure I heard Sava say that we've got our first friendly against, is it Bromley on Tuesday, or it might have been this Tuesday just gone, I'm not sure. But yeah, just get him in, get him working with the players. Hopefully we can get 2 or 3 more in, and then 2 or 3 more experienced players in, by hook or by crook. I don't know how. I've got no doubt Levy's just waiting for deals to, miraculously appear that are in his what he would be happy to pay. So we'll just have to see, mate. We just have to see.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Sorry, I had to leave you there. Once I had to
All right.
break the seal. You know what it's like. Once you break the seal, that's it. I'll be in
That's
the
it,
night now
mate.
for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But here's a question from Razzle Dazzle. Are you Basuma in or out? Last season, he was meant to be his push on, improve his skills. Yeah, last couple of seasons, I think he's been pretty poor. What do you think about that? Basuma, would you take him or would you sell him?
Well, for me, Basuma's a difficult one because a lot of the time he's been asked to play in positions that are not him. Now, Basuma is what I would call your ball carrier, right? So you don't play him as a DM, you play him as an 8. Yeah, you play him as a central midfielder. Yeah, that's going between 18-yard box to 18-yard box. Yeah, carrying the ball and then giving the ball to the players that will create for you. That is how I look at him. And we never, or while Ange was in charge, he never played him like that, you know. And I don't think, you see players. Nigel, you saw Basuma at Brighton, right? Before we bought him. Everyone can say, well, no one else was interested. But at the end of the day, you saw, like I did, what he was doing on the pitch for Brighton. And when we bought him, did you think for 25 million quid, did you think to yourself, this could be a good buy, this? He looks really decent.
Yeah, absolutely.
For 25 million quid. But he hasn't been played how he should be played, Nigel. And this is another thing as well. We keep going back to it. Players like Basuma, they have got things to prove, right? If he wants to stay here, they've got things to prove. But I want to see them played in their right position.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've done it. And it's the same with Gray. I know Gray's younger, but he's played all over the gaff, centre half, left back, right back, and 45 minutes or an hour in midfield. If he's going to be a midfielder, let Frank coach him to do what he wants him to do. And if he can't do it, he won't play. And yeah, I know he's been here. I know he's been here a long while now, Basuma. I'm not saying necessarily keep him. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that we saw what he did at Brighton. And over the last couple of years, he's not been played in that position. And Dan said, he's not a defender. He's not a DM.
No. I'd like to see him in an 8.
He's an 8. He doesn't like facing the keeper. If you watched him with Ange, he was coming to the 18-yard box just outside to pick the ball up from the goalkeeper. Yeah, he doesn't. For me, he doesn't like facing the keeper when they're being pressed. He wants to be facing this way, going towards their goal.
Exactly. Don't you think then, if we were to sign a monster 6, a Polinia type player,
an
Edison, or an Emerson, and then we could use Basuma and Bentancur as 8s, Bergvall and Madison as a 10 or whatever, or Bergvall as an 8 as well. Then suddenly we've got a squad that can compete in the Premier League. And the Champions League, because I actually think Basuma as an 8 in a Champions League would be a good player.
Yeah, and that is all to buy one player. And look how that structures everything down the middle going forward. You know what I mean, Nigel? And that's just buying one player. It's what we were talking about earlier, a DM. Get a proper DM in there, and then let these players that you've been asking to play other roles, or that Ange was asking to play other roles, get them in their proper position.
Exactly. You go to Anfield, right? Whereas last season we went in there with a back 4 that was basically a back 2, with nobody in midfield hardly. Suddenly you go to Anfield with 3 at the back, you have a number 6, and you have a Bentancur and a Basuma. You ain't conceding. Okay, you might not score, but you ain't losing that game because you've got 3 at the back. And you got a Bentancur, Basuma, and now I just think it's a totally different side. Totally different side.
I agree with you, Nigel. I agree with you.
Say,
I can't wait to see. I really hope he does play 3 at the back, because I think you'll see a total change. And as long as he's got that bit of protection in the front from a couple of those midfielders, or at least one of them, to drop in when we do lose the ball, I think we'll be much more structured, and it'll be a lot better. It'll be a lot better. And we've had a bad attitude for years, Nita. You know, we talk about mentality and that all the time, don't we? Even when we was up the top in the Potts years, Nige, you know, we never quite got over the line. Do you know what I mean? But I've always said, and people can agree or disagree. Again, it's only my opinion. Mentality starts at the top with the owner. You know, you can't expect players to go winning things on the pitch when the fella at the top hasn't got the same ambition as the as the players at the end of the day, because it all feeds down from the top. You know.
Exactly. Guys, I'm doing the call out again. We are 1.5 hours in. We're going to go for an hour, mate. 1.5 hours in.
Yeah.
And guys, please subscribe to the Two Mark Show. It really would mean the world. Let's get them to as close to 450 as we can tonight. You don't even have to leave the chat. You just literally press on the link, subscribe, bish bash bosh, happy days.
Yeah, and not only that as well, subscribe to all the Spurs content creators, because you get a different view from lots of different fans.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. As a content creator, you know, I subscribe to everyone.
Yeah.
So just, you know, I like watching everyone. You know, some I like watching more than others, but, you know, it's the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's got a different view, different opinions. What makes the world go round at the end of the day.
Exactly. And even if you don't watch us, then, you know, subscribe always helps. It always helps.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's just see what else we got here. Probably, yeah. I think we've still not heard from him, have we? I'm sure he's all right. Asuma, Benton, Solanke, the players to benefit. Yeah, I do think Solanke will benefit from Thomas Frank in charge. It'd be interesting to see though if he does play 3 at the back. That means he's probably going to play 2 up front, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's going to be Solanke and one other.
Yeah.
I actually think it would be Johnson.
So do I. So do I.
Which I ain't got an issue with. I think we get the best out of him.
Give it a go at the end of the day. Give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's our he used to play at Forest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty much as a sort of, you know, inside striker or whatever you call it. You know, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does, because he has got a few options there, you know, like we said earlier, you know, we've got all these so-called wingers that I don't call a winger. So if he's going to play Solanke up top, he has got options. He can play Johnson, he can play Son as the second striker, he can play Tell as the second striker, because they're all inside forwards, they're not wingers. You know, so if he wants to play big man, little man, he can do that with all 3 of them.
No, it is going to be interesting, especially if Sonny stays.
Yeah.
But if we are playing 3 at the back, it'd be interesting to see what happens to the likes of an Odebear, who is more of an out-and-out winger. Obviously, players like Mikey Moore. Do you think Mikey Moore might go out on loan? I think a loan would do him good, personally.
Possibly he could go out on loan. I think it'll all depend there on English players in the squad and all that sort of stuff, Nigel, and for the Champions League as well, you've got to have a certain amount of homegrown and stuff like that, haven't you? So I think that may affect his squads as such.
Yeah.
You know? But it's difficult with Mikey Moore, because I feel like he's another one. He's like Bergwell. When you watch him, he's very exciting, Nige, you know, when he's on it. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like he could do with a year in the Championship somewhere, you know, just to, like you said before, playing against men. Do you know what I mean? Bit of rough and tumble in the Championship. Some of these hard nut defenders giving him a, you know, making sure that he don't do what he's good at, if you know what I mean. Getting stuck into him, and he's got to learn all that. He's got to be able to, you know, if he's as good as everyone says he is, he's got to learn to be able to take it, because he'll have a target on him, you know, if he's that good. But it works both ways in a way, doesn't it? Because when you saw Will Lancashire and he went out on loan to West Brom, didn't he? Now, for me, it's all right going out on loan to these teams, but you want to see your player playing every week. He's there because he's there for experience, you know.
Yeah.
So there's no good going out to a championship team and he's not playing, you know, because that don't serve a purpose for anyone.
No.
You know, we need him playing because we need to see what he's doing at that level. You know? And there's a few, I'm sure there'll be a few that go out on loan, Niger, a few of the youngsters that maybe haven't broken into the team like they would have hoped to have done. The Vines and the Scarlets and players like that maybe going out on loan. Again, with the back line, I'm not sure that they'll send Vuskovic out on loan unless they get another centre-half, Nige.
No, I agree.
Because Dragusin, I don't think, like we said earlier, is going to be back till December time. So if you're playing three at the back, you're all right as long as those three stay fit. But if they don't, and Romero's gone, you've got VDV, Danzo. We said Ben Davis as well if it was really required, didn't we? As a centre back, who else we got? Phillips, Dorrington. We said they'll probably go out on loan.
Vuskovic.
Yeah. So I think we still need another one in.
I definitely think we need another one in, for sure. Regardless of Romero, to be honest with you, just simply because of Champions League football. If we only had one game a week, or then no. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we do. Razzle Dazzle saying, "Who do you think will be our top goal scorer next season?" We're going to go for another 10 minutes, guys. Who do you think, mate?
Next season, who will be our top scorer? I will go for. I think it will be Solanke next season.
Yeah,
just got a feeling that different style of play, like you said, Nige. If we do play with overlapping wingers, I think it will create so much space. And I'll tell you what, if we do play 3-5-2, for the most part, I would really hope that Maddison takes off this year.
I
would really hope he does because, you know, he's going to have a lot more space to work in than he's had for the last couple of seasons. And I would just really like to see him be the player that we all know he can be. You know, on a more consistent basis, Nige. You know, I know we've seen glimpses of what he can do, but you know, on a you know, like when he came in the first season, wasn't he? And he was assisting and getting
those first 10
goals.
games.
He was doing something most weeks, wasn't he, Nige? You know, and then he got injured. But I'd just like to see him have a season where he's not out for 6 weeks at a time or whatever, and just, you know, get his nut down and play his football. That'd be nice to see because, you know, an on-form Maddison's got to be good for anyone, I would imagine.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If we were to go out and sign a player like Kudus, who is predominantly like a wider player, but can play in a number 10 as well.
Yeah.
I think then we could almost not rest Maddison, but use him a bit more sparingly, not just like slog him every game, you know? And I agree. I think Maddison for me is a massive season for him. He has to show it this year, and he showed it in glimpses. And like you say, there's been times he's been brilliant, but then he gets injured or he loses a bit of form. For me, this is a big season for Maddison because I think if he doesn't have a great impact this season, I think he might be sold next season. So for me, I think, but I think Solanke, you can't look past Solanke, can you? Because he's going to be our striker and you would expect him to be in the box a bit more.
Yeah, and it's the same again. If it works out with Johnson, if he plays him as a second striker, he could do what he's done this season, smash in 19, 20 goals. There's nothing to say that he can't do it.
No.
You know? No. But again, it's about Frank working out, you know, who he thinks is going to do the job for him, working out what players he wants, what players have got the right attitude for him, all that sort of stuff, you know. I read one thing about him, that he is a stickler for being on time.
How is it?
Apparently so. He's a big stickler for being on time. Because I read a thing about it with Basuma, because Basuma is not averse to being late for training.
Yeah.
But apparently it's not like, oh, it's a whatever fine and it goes to the charity box. Apparently he can be very harsh with it, and he won't have it. He's not up for being late at all.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, just reading some of the chat here. Nita again is saying who's going to be our captain. We had this chat
Yeah,
earlier. I think I said Madison. Do you
probably
think
Madison.
Madison?
I would have thought.
I
It
think it's going to be
depends.
Madison or
It could
Romero.
be someone like Madison, or he might come in and he might think, for argument's sake, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but managers do this. Like someone like Mickey van der Ven, he's a youngster as such, but he's experienced, as in he's played at Wolfsburg. He's come into us. He's had nearly 2 seasons he's 2 seasons now with us, isn't it, Nige?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he could go for someone like him and give him the responsibility of being the captain. I want you to, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Push yourself onto the game. Be the man that's got the mouth. Instruct people. Whatever. And for someone like him, it might be the making of him. You never know.
I agree.
It does happen. But I would imagine he would go for someone like Madison. Just for someone that's has been there, seen it, and done it. And he is quite vocal, Madison, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a captain. You know what? He's a captain that, and I know he gets a lot of bad stick, but he's a captain that I'd play for, because I get the impression he gives people confidence, and he's everyone's best mate, and he kind of makes you feel wanted. So for me, yeah, Madison would be the captain.
Emery's put a comment in. Next one down, Nige.
Yeah, I just seen that breaking. West Ham have tonight received an offer from Tottenham Hotspur for Mohamed Kudus. The bid is worth 50. Haven't we? And it's been.
I thought
Haven't
we
we already bid
50
50
plus
million?
5 already.
Yeah, I don't. No. Yeah, we've already done that. Personal terms are not an issue. Yeah, we kind of big up, haven't we? But yeah,
let's hope so. Let's hope we can get him in, because he is he didn't have a very good season last year, but I know that when he went to West Ham, we was all talking then, Nige, that we would have liked him then.
Yeah.
I think he's a very good player, and I think he's one of them players that likes to have. He's not a player that likes to be bollocked. He's one of them, I think, that you put your arm around him, and he'd be all right at Spurs. Kudos. He'd get a lot of people off their seats in the ground, I think.
He's a Spurs type player, isn't he? He is a bit of a maverick. I think if we're looking at someone who's going to be working hard and chasing back, I don't think Kudus is your man. But he's certainly going to get players off their fans off their seat. For me, he's just a bit too inconsistent, but that might have been because he was playing in a struggling side last season. You just don't know, do you?
Yeah, definitely.
But
definitely.
Razzle Dazzle saying probably be Bentancur to sign a new contract. I mean, could be. Does he speak good English, though, Bentancur? I'm not sure he does.
I'm not sure. I know there's been rumours flying about a new contract for him, isn't there? So, yeah, Captain Ontario. Well, I don't have no captain material. No, I get where you're at, because Dan said before he thinks he's a little bitch and he moans and rolls around on the floor, and he's true to an extent. It is true.
He is a bit of a pussy. He is, when he does go down too easy and moan, but he is also very vocal. And I think but it's no good being vocal if you're shit and rolling around on the pitch, on the floor. You've got to be up there getting assists and scoring goals.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does depend on the formation. 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, Dan likes that formation, 4-2-3-1. Yeah.
Yeah, ideally though, we need to buy a captain, don't we? Really?
Yeah, like Dan says, there's not you know, Romero's obviously done what he's done in his career, but I think we all pretty much think that he's going to go, don't we? I don't know what you think, Nigel. I think it's pretty much that he's going
to. Yeah, I think he's going to go, and I wouldn't be against him going. I kind of think I just want players to play for Spurs who actually really want to play for Spurs, and if he does, fantastic. But if he's in two minds and he's thinking about, Atletico Madrid, then get the best price we can. Let's get someone else in. For me, what do you think of Romero? Because I like him. I think he's a really good player. On his day, he's a top player, but he switches off too much for me.
Yeah, he switches
Basic
off.
errors.
Yeah, he switches off too much, and I find when it's not going right for him, there's certain players that when we watched last season, that he can get rattled. There's certain players that can rattle him, and I don't know whether that's through not necessarily through football. I think sometimes that people get in his ear. Do you know what I mean? And in I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what they're saying. I can only, think about what's being whispered in his ear and whatever else, to wind him up or whatever it is. But I think occasionally he bites, and you've seen a couple of times where he could have been sent off where he weren't. But I love his passing out from the back. But what does me is when he steps forward, especially when the other team have got the ball, to make a challenge and he's out of position, Nigel, as in like right out of position. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he stepped 5 yards from where he's from, missed the tackle, and he can whatever. He's like gone 10, 15 yards way out the way.
Yeah, it's all very well if he wins it.
But well, see, again, what we was talking about earlier, we was playing two at the back. So if he was stepping forward, that means there was one at the back. Do you know what I mean? In certain instances, if you're relying on Romero and VDV as your two at the back, and he stepped forward, essentially you're then relying on one. But depending on what term how the transition's going with it at the same time as well. But you are spot on, Nigel. When he's on it, like he was for Europa League final, I thought he was superb. Marshalled the team very well on that night, and he did what his job is. He played as a centre half. Like they all did. Everyone did their job on that night, and they got the job done. It weren't spectacular by any means, and I'm sure that all Tottenham fans would have loved to watch us playing, the smooth, flowing football that we all like to see. But, it wasn't to be like that, but they got the job done, and we won the Europa League, and, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all we ask for, isn't it, as Spurs fans? So many years we've been wanting to play pretty football and lovely football to win games. When you get to a final, it doesn't matter how you win, does it? Just win it.
No. Just get over the
no
line.
one remembers. I don't remember the final now. It's only 6 weeks ago. I don't remember it. I just remember that we won it and Sonny lifting the cup. So that's all I remember, guys. We will leave it there. We said we were only going to do an hour. We've gone for an hour and 48. Please do not forget to subscribe to the Two Marks Show. Really would mean the world. And we will see you hopefully next week. Hopefully we'll do one next Saturday, Mark, and the show will be back. And it will be on your channel next week.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, we'll just alternate it, Nigel, every week, however you want to do it. It don't matter. However you want to do it, mate. It's brilliant. Enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on, mate. It's been brilliant.
That's all right, mate. And thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, everyone in chat. Appreciate all of your comments and all of your questions, guys. If it's not, if you're not here, then it's really not worth us doing it. So thank you to everyone. Have a great Saturday evening. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Lads down the lane with the pure coys flow.